The order of operations with exponents. So that's the thing we're adding here. You guys have done order of operations before, but the new part is exponents. Making sure we follow the correct steps when we do this. So this will be our first kind of practice expression here. 4 times, we've got 9 divided by 3 in parentheses, and then we got that exponent up there, which means squared, which means to the power of 2. So we got to remember our instructions when we have this. Our instructions kind of go like this. Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, and division. You do those left to right. Addition, subtraction. So you can remember PEMDAS. Always do what's in the parentheses first. Next is the exponents. After that, multiplication and division right here, you don't always multiply first or multiply before you divide. You do whatever comes first from left to right. That's something that will confuse students often. You do the same thing when you add and subtract. You don't always add before you subtract. You do whatever comes first before left to right as you're moving through the expression to solve order of operations. So this is like the instructions that we follow. Everyone, if they follow the instructions accurately, should be able to get the same answer when they solve something like this. So if you can't remember PEMDAS and what this is, there are some kind of sayings you can remember. There's the old "please excuse my dear Aunt Sally." I guess she's kind of rude or something, but if you can remember that, they got PEMDAS right there. If not, pandas eat mushrooms and dumplings, apples and spice. That might be something that's a little easier for you to remember. Or if not, got my personal favorite here. Purple elephants may destroy a school. So you never know what could happen. Always be prepared. But purple elephants may destroy a school. PEMDAS right there. Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So let's go back to where we started here. This is our beginning expression. So we're going to use our order of operations and see if we can solve this accurately. So first thing we look at is parentheses right here. We're going to solve what's in the parentheses. Got 9 divided by 2. So I'm going to rewrite this expression. I have 4 times. I haven't done anything with that. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So when I divide inside the parentheses go away, and I should just get 3, because 9 divided by 3 is 3. And I can't forget, I do still have that exponent right there, so it's squared. That's my parentheses. I've done that. Next up is the exponent. So I'm going to do what the exponent, if I have an exponent, I'm going to go ahead and take care of that. I do. It's right here. So I have 3 squared. Of course, that means this. 3 times 3. 2 3s. It doesn't mean 3 times 2, which is 6. It's 3 times 3, which is actually 9. So I should get 4 times 3 times 3 is 9. So I have now taken care of the exponents, and I keep moving down my order of operations list. Next up, if I have it as multiplication, and I do, it's right there. 4 times 9. 4 times 9 equals 36. And that actually is going to be my answer because I don't have any more steps to go. So started with parentheses, went to exponents, then multiplied, got my answer all the way through, followed the steps just as they were listed on this side right over here. Alright, let's try another practice. Should be following along with me. You'll get to do some practice on your own, but you want to follow this, make sure you get a good example. Let's try one with division. 8 plus, we've got 12 minus 8 in parentheses squared, and then we've got this divided by 2. This line means we're going to divide by 2, so the order is important here. We start at the top. We start at the top of our list, parentheses. So I'm going to rewrite 8 plus. Parentheses is 12 minus 8. Well, 12 minus 8 is 4, so I'm still going to put my line. Basically make this look like a fraction, but it's division, 4 with a 2 underneath, and then we're going to square this thing, okay? And I'll kind of put a line to separate. There we go, just like that. And next step up, so we did the parentheses, that's done. Next up is the exponents if I have them. I do have an exponent right there. It's 4 squared, which means 4 times 4. It's not 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 4 is 16. So I'm going to rewrite again. 8 plus 16 over 2. And now I don't have an exponent. Got rid of the parentheses. I keep moving down my list. Next up is multiplication. Remember, or division. So it's whatever comes first, left to right. I don't have multiplication, there is division. This right here, this kind of fraction situation, means that we're going to divide 16 by 2. So 16 divided by 2, kind of do it like this, but a lot of y'all know off the top of your head is 8. So I'm going to rewrite again and put 8 plus 8. So I took care of my multiplication, division, and the last part is my addition or subtraction, whatever comes left to right. Well, I just have this addition right here. It equals 8 plus 8 is 16. So my final answer is 16 if I follow the correct order of operations. Alright, so I want you to try this one. You can pause it. You can work ahead of me here. Unpause it. See if you do it accurately. But I gave you a tricky one. You got negative 4. You've got 3 minus 9 in parentheses plus, then a negative 2 squared. I've still got this order of operations here, so make sure you follow this. Go ahead and pause the video, solve it with your partner, and then unpause it, see if you get it right. Go ahead. Alright, so let's start with parentheses. Always start with parentheses. In our parentheses, or our order of operations right over here, I have negative 4. I'm going to rewrite. And then 3 minus 9. Well, 3 minus 9, I'm actually going to go negative here. So I have negative, and because they're right next to each other, this gets kind of tricky here, but I'm going to multiply by these. So basically, 3 minus 9 is negative 6. So I'm going to put, we can do this two ways. I can either put parentheses negative 6, even though we've gotten parentheses, we got rid of them, we subtracted, but this is showing multiplication. The other way I could have done this is negative 4, and then I could say times negative 6. But the real way to write it is this way right over here. I don't want to confuse anybody, but when you have this negative 4 right up against those numbers in parentheses, it means we're going to multiply right there. So what we're going to say is I have negative 4 times a negative 6 plus, and we have this negative 2 squared. I don't need to do anything to this negative 2 in parentheses because there's not anything that I need to add this to, subtract it, multiply, or divide inside the parentheses. So this just means at some point, because it's negative, I'm going to have to square it with this parentheses, or with this exponent right over here. So I got rid of my parentheses. I was just talking about the exponent, so let's do that. I'm going to rewrite. Negative 4. I'm going to keep my times negative 6 here plus negative 2 squared. So that means negative 2 basically times another negative 2. Well, when you multiply two negatives, you get a positive. So we should get a positive 4 here. 2 times 2 would be 4. They're both negative, so we get a positive. So I rewrote this to negative 4. Then I've got the times a negative 6 plus 4. Next up, either multiplication, division, whatever comes first, left to right. Well, I don't have division. It's going to be the multiplication right here. It's going to be negative 4 times a negative 6. They're both negative, basically negative 4 times a negative 6. So they are both negative. That cancels out. And so basically I have 4 times 6, which gets me 24 plus, and I've got my positive 4. Final steps, addition or subtraction. All I have is addition right here. So 24 plus 4 is going to make this thing equal to 28. The tricky part was right here, making sure that once you subtracted 3 minus 9, hopefully you got a negative, that you were multiplying by the negative 4. That was the tricky part. So remembering the steps and order of operations, the PEMDAS. If you do, usually it's not too tricky, but you got to make sure you remember the steps. Always remembering PEMDAS and all that. So use PEMDAS, succeed at this life. It worked for this baby right here, so hopefully it will work for you. Math is life. Use PEMDAS, succeed at life, and you should be good to go. Now go ahead, you and your partner can log into Nearpod and continue your practice. Good job.